What is good, everyone? We're back here at Silverstone tonight with Division 2. A little bit bigger grid than last night, luckily. A few people already on the track. Take a look at what kind of tires we're seeing. Looks like everyone is starting out on softs, and we see Kaganis going sideways through comps there. It doesn't look like he was actually pushing. It looked like he was on his outlap. Bit of a rough start for Kaganis. Kaganis, big respect to him. Had a lot of trouble driving the game the past month or so, but continues to show up to races all the way from Poland. So big love, Kaganis, and we hope that you have a nice and smooth race tonight. And I hope your team principal falls in the toilet getting stuck. So New Francis has retired and left the session. So that's interesting. Interesting decision there for Snoop Francis. VLDC. Let's see what we can do. It's unlucky for Snoop Francis, his wheel disconnected, but so he won't be able to. I don't even see online, bro. Try again in a little bit. Again, it's going around again at the start of his actual first push lap there. Looks like we have an Aston Martin, I believe, of Roldy here. Not Roldy, the other Aston Martin of Rigrath on his first push lap here. You guys can see in the bottom left, looking at a little bit of cloud for the race, but no chance of any weather, it appears. Chubb Tucker setting the fastest first time here, the 28.1. We saw pole yesterday, I believe a 50 or 25, if I remember correctly, something along those lines, maybe a 26.8. So Labib actually setting the fastest first sector here, beating out on Chubb Tucker's first sector time by about 300ths. Roldy beating that time also by about 3/10. So Roldy looking to be our potential provisional pole sitter when he finishes this lap here. I'll try Snoop Francis one more time. Still don't see him online. So Rigrath in the other Aston Martin put himself on provisional pole. Marcel Green setting the fastest middle sector by a little bit here. So Roldy looking to put himself in front of his teammate here. But he's about 2/10 slower than Rigrath in the middle sector, but still about 3/10 quicker in the first sector. So depending on his time here, nope, does not beat Rigrath. Marcel Green puts himself on a provisional pole. Giorgio puts the Aston Martins here, puts him into P4. We have Labib. May have invalidated his lap, so did not set a time, even though he did finish a push lap. Jack Fletcher in the Whataburger car is finishing his first lap, setting the fastest first sector, and that puts him onto the top of our boards by about 2/10. I Snoop one more time. I don't see him. If I don't see him, I'll send him a message. So now it looks like we have Nadewell. Nadewell actually looks like he is still on his outlap for his first push attempt here. Man in the box, putting himself into provisional P5 with his lap time Labib down in P8. So actually, no, Labib did finish his lap. I must have just gone to the wrong Haas driver. So Labib setting a valid lap there. 29.3. So combined here heading down the back straight towards Stowe here for the first time tonight. Combined as he finishes this lap. I'll pull up our standings and we can take a look at how we're currently seeing things. A big snap of front end there for combined. That is just the way these cars drive in this game. So combined putting himself into P8, so a lot of work to do to get himself up into his normal position. As I pull up the standings here, that is not the standings. As I pull up the standings here, this is the standings. We see combined with 5 P3 finishes in a row. He currently leads the championship by 19 points over both Rigrath and Nadewell. So championship is still open, but a large gap with only 2 races to go. So a nice comfortable lead for combined at the current moment. Looks like Nadewell's finally pushing on his first lap. Again, Nadewell with his first race victory last week at Baku. Just very impressive pace-wise last week. So Nadewell not setting any purple sectors yet, so we may be seeing something of a low 27 here. So 27.1 for Nadewell puts him into P4. Simon in the other Mercedes getting himself into P3. So that leaves us with Kaginis as the last one without a valid lap time here. I believe this will be his first valid push lap here. Stu Francis unfortunately retired when he left this session. Looks like a Mercedes is in low fuel mode down the back straight there. And Kaginis puts himself into P12 with a 28.2. So it looks like Nadewell is pushing back into the pits. Not enough time, not enough fuel to finish this lap. He is on his battery. Marcel Green, I believe, is pushing for his second push attempt here, and I believe Labib is pushing. Nope, Labib is pushing back into the pits. So we'll hop on board here with Giorgio as he has an insane snaps, but really nice recovery there from Giorgio. As he completes the first sector here, looks like Labib, one of the Haas is going off track there through Maggots and Beckett's. So Giorgio, because of that big loss of rear grip he had a second ago, he is currently down on his time. A little bit of an odd exit there as he goes through left field there. So we will see if he has any kind of improvement as he goes through Maggots and Beckett's and through Chapel here into the back straight. Very aggressive there with those track limits, not afraid of going off the track there. So very confident driving there from Giorgio, still up on his time, so Giorgio will likely abandon this lap at the end, depending on how his third sector was in his first run. Oh, so he's going to finish the lap. Ooh, huge, little bit of a issue with braking there as he lost the rear of the car. So it's definitely not going to be an improvement on his time. So about a half a second slower than before. Roldy right behind him, finishing his second push attempt in here, and he's going to go up a little more than almost 4/10 here. So Roldy jumping his teammate, putting himself into P5. So very close to Nate Bell's time. So very, very impressive qualifying lap here from Roldy. We've had a lot of opportunity. We had a Roldy on just on the outside of potentially finishing on the podium on several times this season. So maybe we'll actually get it for the first time. No, I don't, Anon. They changed the engine sounds last week, so they just sound different. So Giorgio heading back to the pits after his previous lap here. Chubb Tucker on a push lap here. Maybe a little bit late on the upshift there, but dumping his battery here as he heads towards turn 6 and through turn 7 and 8 here. Chubb Tucker, again, he described it very nicely. In a message to me a few weeks back, calling his pace bipolar. We've definitely seen that. He also did cause 2 D1 drivers to leave. Not necessarily caused, but he was involved in whatever happened with those 2 brothers or cousins or whatever those guys' names were. Langston dudes. Chubb Tucker 2.5 tenths up on his time, so potentially moving himself into P7 with this lap. But Chubb Tucker was murdered about 3 times in a row by Zoro Langston when we did our Hungary race. That guy was not happy with Chubb Tucker. Drove him into the wall a couple of times and then left the Discord in the league. So, okay, so Chubb Tucker into P6, so beating out my prediction there. Let's hop on board here with Kiwi. I believe actually, nope, she just finished. Yeah, I believe Kiwi just finished her second push attempt. She's going to come into the pits for one final go. Looks like everyone else is going to hang on or going to sit into the pits for about a minute and a half or so and then go back out for their final push lap. So as we sit here and wait for the clock to roll down, we'll go ahead and pull up our standings once more for our D2 championship right now. The Constructors Championship is likely incorrect. About the last half of the season, the reserve sheet is a little messy. Doesn't want to cooperate with us at the moment. So there may be some reserve points missing. For the most part, it is accurate. And you can see that combined with those 5 P3s in a row. Rigraf with his first win in quite a long time. Man in the box in round 2 back in Hungary with his first win ever in CRL in Division 2. Giorgio with a nice win. And Spanini rounds out our race winners for D2 with the exception of Jack Fletcher. Roldy has retired from the race, so Roldy is happy with this time. Doesn't want to spin another set of tires and is done with this session. Looks like, it looks like Combined will be the first one to begin a lap here. To finish this out, he's going to be starting his lap a little bit early. We'll definitely run into some traffic, I'd imagine, before he finishes his push lap here. So Combined currently our championship leader as the standings indicate here. 19-point gap between him and Rigraf. So we're right on board with our championship leader. as he takes us into the final stint here, for qualifying here around Silverstone. So there's that traffic we mentioned. Looks like one of the Ferraris. Hard to tell exactly which one. That was Chubb Tucker coming out of the pits way too late, so he's not going to make it around. He will not have a final attempt here at qualifying, so he'll be stuck with a 27.3. A lot of traffic there on the map there in the third sector as people queue up for their final push attempt. 28 seconds. Looks like everyone, with the exception of anyone behind combined here, will get their lap started. So we see combined here not as aggressive with the track there as we saw from Giorgio, except for on that last corner there. So, but he's up on his time by 7/10. So potentially looking to go into the top 5 here with a nice clean third sector. Chubb Tucker is done. He is behind combined there on the map in that Ferrari. So very smooth so far for combined. Ooh, really odd through that penultimate corner. Let's see, 27.4. So lost a little bit of time in the final couple of corners. Puts himself into P7. And I'm not sure. So Nadewell finishing his qualifying lap, putting him into P3 with a 26.8. These D1 drivers in here tonight, definitely a difficult task to move up any further than that. If Kagenis here finishing his lap, no improvement for a very small improvement for Kagenis, but no positional improvement for him here. We have man in the box, and the box is done. We have Labib, I believe, finishing his final push attempt here with a huge slide as he goes through the penultimate corner. But imagine no improvement for Labib. Oh, he actually jumps over Kiwi. And Kiwi moving up into P6 right behind Labib. Rigraff jumping Roldy and Kiwi to go into P5. So impressive into qualifying there for us. Marcel Green is going to go, it looks like, into... What? Why did that say 26.3 if it's not a 26.3? Oh, it's invalid. Okay, so Marcel Green setting an invalid 26.3. So Jack Fletcher in the Butterburger car once again will lead us into the race here, followed by Marcel Green and Nadewell in the other Whataburger car. Simon behind those three, and we'll be on the second row with Nadewell. And then both Aston Martins on the third row in 5th and 6th place. So very impressive qualifying from both of those guys. And then Kiwi in P7, Chubb, followed by Chubb Tucker combined. Giorgio, man in the box, Labib, Kagenis, and then Snoop Francis, who was unable to set a time because I believe he had some wheel issues, and then the game retired him because, well, that's what this game does. So as we head towards the race here, again, Roldy will give everyone about, to get it set up going, and give everyone about 1 minute before we ready up and move on. The race is looking cloudy, but no chance of rain. Excuse me. But yesterday in the D1 race, we did see the alternate strategy look to be the correct strategy, going from mediums to softs. As you have to pit a little, as at the end of the race, the mediums aren't necessarily as effective as a quick set of softs, and it doesn't appear that the softs are fast enough to break away from the mediums at the start of the race. So we are unlikely to see any hards, except for maybe Roldy will randomly go on hards because he does that every single race. But we will see here in a moment. Kenny Combine don't actually do that. All right, here we go, guys. We have Jack Fletcher in the Whataburger car and Marcel Green in that Kick Sauber taking us off the line here for the start of our D2 race. Looks like a lot of medium tires, so a lot of people learning from what happened yesterday. No hard tires for Roldy. Looks like a little bit of action here in the back. We have a Mercedes and a Ferrari just clipping through each other. Man in the box just straight murdering Giorgio. So unfortunate there for Giorgio. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to catch back up. It looks like he is back in it already. So a little bit better turn of events for him rather than what happened to Major Castleman yesterday, as he was 6 seconds behind the pack before we even really got racing here. But Nadewell putting himself into P3 on those softs. So he will be the first of our soft runners. We'll have to keep an eye on how this goes for these guys, because again, it's not easy for these soft runners to pull away to make this strategy more effective. We'll kind of keep an eye on our race order here and try to find where the spicy battles are at. Like Chubb Tucker on the tail of Rigraff here, splitting the Aston Martins here after race start. Looks like Guinness off the track here at the end of Chapel here. So now he is a ways down the order. Kiwi being overtaken by Combined here as we go towards Sector 3 for the first time tonight. Look like Chubb Tucker with a big, or Snoop Francis actually with a big send here on Kiwi. Kiwi now ghosted. Jack Fletcher setting the fastest lap of the race. Kiwi holding out in front of Snoop Francis for now. He looks like she's having a little bit of trouble with these medium tires on these first couple of laps. More yellow flags of Kagenis around on his own in the back. Man in the box also getting by Kiwi. Kiwi also being passed by Labib, so Kiwi really struggling right now. Nadewell and Simon going side by side as we head through turn 7 and 8. Head towards Cops. Looks like Nadewell backing out, being overtaken by Simon. It's like Snoop Francis and Labib back here. Possible race strategy shows soft to hards. No one's going to be using any hard tires tonight. But unluckily here for Man in the Box, he has lost about 1.5 seconds to Combined because of Kiwi's struggles there. So that vacuum, or kind of a space being left open there by Kiwi, hurting these guys for now. Stu Francis going off the track there at the end of Maggots and Beckett's, or blinking backwards. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Losing out on several positions in the blink of an eye. Ooh, a big slide from Giorgio. Giorgio, lots of slides. Oh, and then Kiwi, the bigger slide there. Kiwi hangs on to it. So, but unfortunately, a lot of work to try to catch back up with that field with Snoop Francis right behind her now. Now in 9th and 10th, we have both Hosses here with about a 1.5 second gap to catch back up with the lead train. This Man in the Box have the juice in him to pull his teammate. Nope, Labib's going to go for the move in probably the worst place possible, as he's now going to cost him a little bit of time, overtaking him in the corner like that and then blowing the apex on the next 2 corners. So we saw the time go from about 1.4 to almost 1.6. Well, Labib dropping it back down. Let's see. Sure, they'll swap again as we head down the back straight. Man in the Box can stick close enough. Man in the Box actually not sticking close enough. Labib is cooking right now. So does Labib have the spices to cook himself back into the lead train? And so far, he is showing some nice pace, dumping all he's got to try to pull he and his teammate back into the lead train here. Giorgio behind both of them and actually towards the front here. Ooh, some fighting. Nadewell getting in front of both Simon and Jack Fletcher as we go through the 3rd sector here. Like Jack Fletcher just trying not to get involved in an incident there, backing out, and Simon taking advantage of that. Now Rigraff really close to potentially making a move here on Jack Fletcher. Elects not to. Going to hold his position for now. Roldy still in this lead train, so always nice to see Roldy racing hard here. Guinness has given up on this frustrating race he must be having as he just cannot complete a lap tonight. So Stu Francis just lagging like crazy as we see there. He's just blinking back and forth. So that's just some weird stuff happening with him. Chubb Tucker with a big send here around, trying to make an attempt to go around the outside of Combined, but not able to get that move done. Labib not really closing that gap to these guys yet. So without any kind of help from somebody flipping positions, it's going to be really difficult. Giorgio here getting in front of man in the box. Now may be in position to, and as I say that, there goes Giorgio going sideways again and broke and certainly has some wing damage there as we saw some stuff go flying. Yep, half his wing is just gone. So as we'd hoped for Giorgio to maybe start doing a little leapfrog with Labib to pull them back into the lead train, Giorgio goes sideways. His race is now in trouble, but Nadewell has taken the lead of the race from Marcel Green here. On these soft tires. But again, last night we only saw them go about 9 laps before they had to pit, and then they were not able to build a big enough gap to be able to effectively outrace the fresh softs at the end of the race. So we will see what Nadewell can do, but so far he's showing some nice pace. So man in the box actually falling off the back of Labib here. Labib showing some solid pace, but not enough to catch up with our leaders. Man in the box definitely struggling a little bit. We've seen man in the box have some really nice pace very often this season, so unfortunate for him that his race is not going as he would have hoped for, but we still have a nice little battle here within our top 8. So let's see how this is going to go. So as we head towards the back straight here for the 5th time tonight, with Nadewell in the lead of the race. Rigraff as the next soft runner on his battery here. Does he try to make something happen? Looks like some moves are going to happen. Marcel Green going to go into the lead of the race. Nadewell going to hang on to P2 here. Simon and Jack Fletcher very patient as we go down that back straight. Jack Fletcher, or Rigraff, just trying to find some space. Maybe he can make a move to get around Jack Fletcher here and put himself into P4. Roldy and Combined hanging onto the back of this train as well. Chubb Tucker losing it on that last lap. So now Chubb Tucker is in no man's land between him and the 2 Haas's. Yeah, you bet, Kagenis. Get some nice sleep, my dude. I know it's probably a long day for you. So this lead train down to Combined now. So 7 cars in the fight for a potential race W tonight here. We will see within the next 3 or 4 laps here when Rigraff and Nadewell have to pit how this is going to affect the running order in the long run. Fine, actually losing a little bit of time here to Roldy, having a bit of a rough turn 7 and 8 on the exit there, and Roldy just kind of pulling away. Jack Fletcher here looks like he's going to go for a move on Simon around the outside, but cars in front, too difficult to send it. Nadewell retaking the lead of the race from Marcel Green. Rigraff actually going for a move around the outside of Jack Fletcher. Jack Fletcher backing out there on the exit, and Simon squeezing around Marcel Green. And now Chubb Tucker into the pits, so he's the first one to get off of these soft tires. Man in the box now in front of his team principal, Labib here. So Chubb Tucker on those mediums. 19 laps is the distance he's going to have to go to make it to the end of this race. But now Rigraff looking for moves on Marcel Green. So Rigraff showing off some really nice pace so far tonight. Soft tires not falling off at this point. Still showing some really nice raciness to them. Ooh, and Simon goes really wide as we go through left fields here. Marcel Green's going to try to go for a move there, but a bit of a tap there causes Marcel to lose a little bit of rip there, and Simon holds on to that lead, and Rigraff gets closer and closer to Marcel Green. But combined, still barely hanging on, but he is struggling back here, it appears, on these medium tires. Look at that, over 1 second now is the gap. Simon now looking to take the lead of the race for the first time tonight. And he does do that. Looks like Rigraff going to try to go around the outside here of Jack Fletcher. Going to go down the inside as we head into the final sector here. Jack Fletcher with some cars in front of him, so difficult for him to brake late and hold on to that position in front of Fletcher. Roldy now right on the tail of Jack Fletcher. So Roldy and Rigraff they must have had their Wheaties this morning, because they are flying tonight. So now lap 8, what we may see is, because if these softs can hang on, the longer they go with the softs, the better it might be for them at the end of the race. They're not going to be able to make much of a headway in with this undercut, as we saw last night. Some yellow flags, looks like that's that's Giorgio off the track there at Maggots and Beckett. Some wing damage for him again. So Giorgio will have to go back into the pits to try to get that wing replaced. Rigraff there with a bit of a gap to him, to Marcel Green, a little bit slow through those S's. We may be seeing some issue with some tires. Marcel Green with the 3-second time penalty, so that'll hurt him. Nadewell sitting at 2 track limit warnings himself. Rigraff, Fletcher at 0, Simon at 1, Labib with 3 seconds there, Giorgio retiring in the pits. A bit of a lag there from Simon, it looked like. Nadewell kind of jumping on that. Not sure if I'm misreading what just happened, but Nadewell and Simon looking a little bit choppy there. But now Rigraff in front of Jack Fletcher. Combined still hanging on to that. He's always that last car in this train, just barely hanging on to DRS over and over and over. So I'm sure he'll try to hang on as best he can until he has to pit to put on those soft tires. We will see how this race progresses from here. Again, Marcel Green looks like he's going to try to send it on Nadewell here. But again, Marcel Green with a 3-second time penalty. Nadewell trying to defend by braking late, almost going into the back of Simon there. This helicopter cam, very convenient instead of that crappy stationary one. I like it. Thank you. Give me more of that, please, game. But a nice little battle here for our top 7. I'm very happy with the amount of people in D2 hanging on to the back of these D1 drivers. So, very exciting race so far. Kind of take a look at some tire war performance here. We have combined here with 24% on his front left and rear left. Kind of look at Simon here. I'd imagine with the same setup has quite a bit less, so maybe some controller stuff going on here. But Nadewell going around the outside of Simon as we go through Stowe here. Going to get that move done going into the final corner. Simon looking to maybe send it back on Nadewell, but actually Roldy getting in front of Jack Fletcher here. Jack Fletcher almost going into the back of Roldy on the exit of the final corner. So Roldy making some moves back here. Roldy has come to play today. The Aston Martins showing so much more competence than their real-life counterparts tonight. So very exciting to see both Rigraff and Roldy in the fight for podiums here. As we currently stand with that penalty of Marcel Green, Rigraff would finish on the podium. So for the 10th time tonight, let's take a look at our soft tires here from Nadewell, about 45% on those front lefts. We're right at that point where we may be seeing some guys decide to go in. 12, 13 laps may be the maximum you really want to try to do on a set of soft tires. Simon looking to go back into the race lead. Nadewell squeezing him a little bit as we go in to Stowe. Simon's not going to get that move done completely. Nadewell still hanging on in side by side as we go into the final sector here. Simon on the inside just has a better run through those corners. So Simon getting the lead of the race. Marcel Green almost looked like he going around as I rolled the camera back. Looks like we have man of the box into the pits, maybe looking to try to undercut and try to catch up with this lead pack here, but that is a large gap to close. Like Marcel Green going to go down the inside of Nadewell here as we go into Brooklands. Rigraff taking a very wide line back here. Looks like man of the box and Chubb Tucker are going to be racing here on pit exit. Nope, the Chubb Tucker about 2 seconds in front, but 4 laps older on these medium tires. So now man of the box has some work to do here in this clean air to try to put himself back in a racing position. Nadewell, picking up that 3-second time penalty. So unfortunate for Nadewell. He is now the other one of our 7 leaders here to get a time penalty. Marcel Green going to try to go down the inside of Simon Colston here. Looks like he's going to get that move done before the corner. Simon's going to have to concede for now. It looks like we have Nadewell or Rigraff into the pit. So Rigraff, the first one to blink off these soft tires. Nadewell still hanging on for the current moment. So the big thing will be, where will Chubb Tucker and will man of the box come out relative to Rigraff on his way out of the pits here? Jack Fletcher looking to get around Roldy here as we head through turn 6 and now through 7, but Roldy hanging on to his own there. Currently, Roldy is sitting in a podium position as his teammate has pit here. And taking into account Marcel and Nade's penalties. And Roldy's only sitting at 1 track limit warning, so let's see. Again, Rigraff coming out 5 seconds in front of Chubb Tucker. So Chubb Tucker, man of the box, just SOL for the rest of this race, really, as Rigraff is basically setting the pace for the leaders now. So this is kind of the big thing, is how will Rigraff perform with this clean air? Because with this clean air, he has a nice opportunity to build up some time to these medium runners, as Nadewell is going to go into the pits here and put on some medium tires. So he should come out, I'd imagine, very, very close to Rigraff. And it will be up to them to build as much of a gap as they can to these medium runners in order to kind of help secure their finishing position, as these soft tires will be extremely rapid when we get to that point in this race. So let's see where Nadewell comes out. Gosh, that pit lane is so long. We see Rigraff coming around the final corner right now. Let's see. Looks like he's going to come out actually basically neck and neck, I'd imagine, here. So Nadewell coming out a little bit in front. Rigraff will not have DRS, I believe, here. So again, Nadewell is going to have to push like a madman to make these medium tires the correct strategy. Or excuse me, this soft to medium strategy the correct one. Combined actually falling off the running order of the leaders here. So he may look to pit sooner rather than later because of him falling out of DRS here. New Francis into the pits here. St. Francis well behind most of the runners now. We have seen a lot of, look like, weird glitchy issues from him. Potentially maybe some connection issues with the host, who is Roldy tonight. But Rigraff has caught up with Nadewell, and he will have DRS as we head down the back straight for the 13th time tonight. Looks like Labib and Kiwi are racing here at the end of the back straight, and I'd imagine Labib will be pitting here. Nope, Labib staying out. So both of them in unfortunate situations here, as they are 12.5 seconds behind the lead train right now. And they have yet to pit, so they are likely out of any kind of battle for what looks like at least the top 7. Once Nadewell finishes his first lap, which he just did, or excuse me, his first actual lap, he just finished his outlap here, I believe. Rigraff did a 30.4. Marcel Green did a 30.4. We have some yellow flags. Looks like that is Roldy. No, Roldy, the podium. No. Damn it. No damage on Roldy, fortunately, so he does not have to get his wing replaced, but falls 6 seconds behind our leaders combined, losing more and more time to those guys up front. So Roldy, who was racing in a podium position, now down in P5 and still has yet to pit, so he'll fall, looks like, well behind where Nadewell will come out in front of, or whenever he comes out of the pits. Nadewell setting the fastest lap. Excuse me, Nadewell looks like he's about to set the fastest lap, as he already did at the start of the race. Marcel Green combined and Roldy into the pits here, so maybe a little bit early for the soft runners. Not sure, but they are definitely worried about an undercut. So Simon and Fletcher staying out for now. Let's see where Nadewell is relative to these guys as they come out of the pits here. Nadewell setting the fastest lap there, 29.5. So racing Marcel Green here on exit. Remember, both of them have penalties, so that will come into play when we get to the end of the race here. But medium tires with only 2 laps more, whereas last night we saw them 4, 5, 6 laps more. This may actually equalize this stuff when we get to the end here. Marcel Green going to overtake Nadewell here with the help of DRS. Rigraff about 2 seconds behind them, and combined another 3.2 behind Rigraff, so a long way to go. Simon, the next one to get a 3-second time penalty. Now Jack Fletcher seems to be the last one of our current leaders to not have a penalty. Going to overtake Simon as they go in. Oh, no, really deep there. Simon maybe looking to go back. Nope, Fletcher going into the pit. Simon saying out one more lap here. So Roldy now well down the order after his little pirouette he did 2 laps prior to now. So unfortunate for him, but he has some tires to make some moves here, maybe move himself back into the top 6 or 7 or so, depending on how well he can push with a little bit of clean air here. So Marcel Green and Nadewell will retake the lead, or net lead of the race here, with Simon still on the track. About 5.5 seconds behind Kiwi, who has yet to pit as well. Rigraff overtaking, or being over, or actually Rigraff and Jack Fletcher racing on exit here, so Jack Fletcher's going to have some work to do to catch back up with Marcel Green and Nadewell. I imagine he's going to overtake Rigraff here with the help of DRS, who doesn't actually have DRS, so Rigraff getting in front of him and also snagging the DRS away from Rigraff is going to hurt Nadewell by, or not, excuse me, he's going to hurt Fletcher here a bit, as Rigraff is losing more and more time to Marcel Green and Nadewell. Combined actually closing that gap to Rigraff and Fletcher. Fletcher making heavy use of the toe behind Rigraff at the current moment. Simon finally into the pits, but you'd imagine he will come out around these guys. So again, a big gap to kind of close up, to kind of get back in front, get back to the front of the race with Nadewell and Marcel Green. But there goes Fletcher getting in front of Rigraff. So keeping into the pits as well, but 17 seconds behind Simon. He's going to come out of the pits very, very far behind a lot of people. So Nadewell and Marcel Green both taking the fastest lap there. Nadewell with the faster lap on that previous lap. Simon going to be well behind them. Is actually even going to be behind Rigraff and Fletcher potentially. Yep, right behind Jack Fletcher. So Rigraff's still in the battle here, holding a potential podium here because of the... Actually, well, the potential podium, but still 3.6 seconds is the gap from them to our two leaders, but both of them, again, have 3-second time penalties. So we'll see. Both of those guys, heavy battles last week at Abu Dhabi, or at Azerbaijan. So we'll see if Fletcher and Simon, with these new soft tires, can close that gap and make those penalties important again. Fortunately for combined, 2 seconds now is the gap between him and Rigraff. And without the help of DRS, it's going to be hard for him to catch up with drivers on newer tires here. So combined streak, 5-race streak of P3s may be coming to an end tonight here without some wild shenanigans. Simon's going to send it down the inside here of Fletcher. Nope, not able to get that move done. Fletcher hangs on to P3 for now. Chubb Tucker, man of the box, actually racing. Chubb Tucker goes super wide at Stowe there. Man of the box getting that position from him. That gap between Marcel Green, Nadewell, and Fletcher and Simon not really going down here. Marcel Green setting the pace right now with a 28.6 last lap, whereas Jack Fletcher did a 29.0. So a lot of work for these guys to catch up to our two leaders. Rigraff looks like he is dangerously close to losing out on DRS. Combine actually doing a nice job of closing that gap from what was about 2 seconds a lap before down to 1.6, but a long way to go. Rigraff struggling with that DRS will definitely help him catch up with these guys, or at least catch up with Rigraff. The combine has caught up with Rigraff. As we bring it up, Rigraff struggling a little bit as he goes through this lap. Simon and Fletcher just pulling away. Gap is 3 seconds now. So the combine will easily overtake Rigraff here to put himself into P5. Simon getting in front of Jack Fletcher here. And Nadewell actually falling out of the DRS to Marcel Green. Looks like we have a slow Ferrari of Chubb Tucker. Or I mean, of Snoop Francis actually. Marcel Green setting the fastest lap of the race. And now Simon pushing to try to catch up with Nadewell. Doing a good job. That delta's dropping quite a bit. Looks like Nadewell may be backing off a little bit, as the tire difference may be becoming a problem here for Nadewell. But now combined with a lot of work to do to catch back up here with Jack Fletcher and his team principal Simon. Simon, looks like Nadewell just really heavily falling off the back here of Marcel Green. Top tire is just too much for him at the current moment. Simon cutting heavily into the lead that Nadewell has built up between them. Back here we have a little bit of a battle here between Man of the Box and Roldy for P7. Unlikely to move up any further than this with the amount of space in between them and the cars in front. But still a little bit of a battle here for these guys. Chubb Tucker also just outside their DRS, so he may be in this fight for P7. Looks like he won't have DRS here as he cut the gap in the middle of the S's after the DRS detection zone. Jack Fletcher setting the fastest lap of the race here in the tow behind Simon. Simon with an equally quick lap, closing that gap to Nadewell. Nadewell struggling heavily on these tires suddenly as he has lost over 2 seconds to Marcel Green just on the previous 2 laps alone. Fine now in clean air. Rigraff struggling to kind of keep up with him.
Simon and Jack are pushing crazy hard at the moment. And combined, struggling to match that pace at the current moment. Man in the box and Roldy going through cops at the current moment. I keep saying moment a lot, and it's starting to drive me insane. So Roldy, with a little bit of DRS here, may have an opportunity to overtake man in the box for P7. It looks like he will be on that battery and look to get that move done here, and he will easily get that move done. Back up towards the front of the race, Simon now in front of Nadewell. The hunt for Marcel Green now is on. Jack Fletcher currently in a really nice position to potentially win the race. Fletcher still sitting at only one track limit warning, so if Simon can close that gap to Marcel Green, Jack Fletcher will be potentially in that race-winning delta, as he is right now 3.6, 3.5 behind Marcel Green. So let's see how much fighting we will see between these guys. As we head through cops for the 21st time tonight, Jack Fletcher banking up quite a bit of battery here. Knows with the right opportunity on this back straight, he can overtake both of these cars. And potentially go for the race win here with that penalty from Marcel Green. So again, the top three right now all have 3-second time penalties. Looking at 4 track limit warnings for Marcel, 5 now actually, so one more and he's going to fall really far down. Simon and Nadewell both at 4, Fletcher at 1, combined at 2, Rigraff at 0. Roldy and man in the box still battling like madmen back here for P7. Great fight to see between two very respectful drivers. Simon cutting into that lead at the front of the race. About a few seconds, Roldy going with a very bizarre, super wide line there. Maybe not his intention, but still with a nice exit there. Man in the box dropping a little bit of battery to try to close that gap up a little bit. Back up here towards the front, Nadewell dangerously close to losing out on Simon's DRS here. Maybe in his best interest to let Fletcher by at some point so he doesn't fall out of DRS and lose even more time. Because right now, with these penalties, he can still battle for position with the other two penalty carriers right now of Simon and Marcel. So Fletcher going to dump that battery. We're going to invert the Whataburger cars here. Yeah, looks like Nadewell is just going to move over and let him get by. And now the hunt for the race win is on for Jack Fletcher. Simon closing that gap even more. We have Snoop Francis there, ghosted behind Marcel Green, so the potential for a little bit of an early DRS is possible. Roldy here, receiving position, a man in the box getting that position with the help of DRS. Chubb Tucker kind of falling out of running order behind them as he heads into the pits here. Kiwi now potentially, let's see, what is that gap for Kiwi to Roldy? Oh, that's a big gap. So Kiwi is kind of in her own race at the current moment. Simon now under 2 seconds to Marcel Green. Simon looking for that on-track W here. Simon with 2-lap fresher tires, then Marcel Green. That's going to make a big difference when it comes to these soft tires. Jack Fletcher and Nadewell still on the back of Simon, so Simon doing a fantastic job. And there it is, Marcel Green with another penalty. So as it currently stands, Marcel Green will fall down to P4 with that penalty. And Simon currently at 4 track limit warnings, Fletcher with 1, Nadewell with 4 as well. But Simon still looking for a potential race win, because there's still also the possibility that Fletcher gets a 3-second time penalty. Rigraff and Combined in a little bit of a heated battle back here for P5. Because of the gap between them and Nadewell, they will unlikely benefit from any kind of additional penalties to our leaders. But they're in a nice little battle here for P5. Man in the Box and Roldy in a nice little battle themselves. The Man in the Box there, a little bit wide of the track. He's currently sitting at 2 track limit warnings. Goldie's sitting at 2 himself. Back up here towards the front, Simon is just pushing so hard. 4/10 quicker than Marcel Green on the last lap, just in raw pace. He has not been overtaken in quite some time. Jack Fletcher not been close enough this entire time since he swapped positions with Nadewell. Nadewell actually losing out on the DRS to both of these guys. And Jack Fletcher really dangerously close to losing out on that to Simon. He will have DRS on this lap. Nadewell will not. Nadewell with a bit of a lag spike there, and he leaves the session. So Nadewell's fantastic luck is continuing at the current moment. Man, that AI is losing so much time to Simon and Fletcher. Hopefully we can get Nate back in the car, and maybe he'll have an opportunity to continue to race for P4 here, excuse me. Simon just outside that DRS of Marcel Green. Fletcher now looking to maybe slingshot himself into the DRS of Marcel Green for this last lap. Simon just outside of that 1.1 is the gap now. Nadewell still not back in his car. Simon there will have DRS here, so Simon will close that gap up to Marcel Green. Jack Fletcher again still only at 1 track limit warning. So here we go. Simon catching up to Marcel Green on the penultimate lap here. Simon with a really nice opportunity to potentially go for an on-track victory, as without some kind of crazy last lap here, Fletcher will inherit the race W as he has no penalties. Marcel Green showing 6 seconds of penalties. Let's go ahead and show our penalties here as we finish the race. Nadewell's AI falling down to P11 as he rejoins, so he spins. So very nice game as he went from P4 down to P11 for reconnecting, I suppose. So very strange happenings here. But here we go. Simon, Marcel banking up a lot of battery for this last lap. Simon just over 9/10. Now back under 9/10 to Marcel Green. Really not that close. So without a really nice Magus back to Chapel here, he may not be close enough to kind of go for an on-track overtake of Marcel Green. Let's see how this goes. Oh, Simon going off the track. I guess just decided I'm going to go for it. What? Oh, it's still not even close enough. Jack Fletcher still really close to both of these guys. Still only 1 track limit warning. Simon. Combined overtaking Rigraff here on the last lap. Man in the Box overtaking Roldy. Looks like Combined will finish in front of Rigraff here. And Combined gets P3 somehow. What? Wait a minute. What? Marcel Green did not finish the race, it appears. So combined with the P3, Nadewell just with an incredibly unlucky disconnect there, moving him from a potential P3 down into P11 and a DNF, it appears. We'll see how it classifies him. Stu Francis finishing a lap down here, but he does finish nonetheless. But Rigraff in P4, Man in the Box P5, and Kiwi with a nice P6, despite the struggles in the middle of that race. So Compliance destiny is literally to finish P3 every race. So literal black magic had to happen, but he got P3. Oh my god. Oh my god. So, as it stands again, Combined finishing P3 behind his team principal Simon and the Jack Fletcher taking the race W. But we will call it there as I am tired and I want today to end. So no interviews. We'll get these deltas so we have standings. I'll do those real quick. And we will call it for the end of round 9 here. Next week again, we'll have Monaco as our final round. Anyone is welcome to join either race. So if you want to race on Sunday, you want to race on Monday, whatever, come join us at Monaco. For the final little send-off here of ZRL. So thank you guys for hanging with me tonight. We will be back in 6 days for Division 1 at Monaco for the final time. So I look forward to that, guys. Everyone have a nice evening. Get some nice sleep. Eat some pizza. Have a nice poop in the morning, whatever.